Okay, so here's a week 3 summary. It's probably just to do this step by step. It's kind of the only way I can really get my thoughts together. So let's start off with 3A. We did the response for Waiting for Superman discussion, which was an enlightening view into the world of public school systems in the United States. And I think everybody had some pretty good things to say, and learned a lot about that. Moving on, talked a little about homeschooling charter schools. I was public school taught, so never really had too much insight as far as how private schools and charter schools work. So it was interesting to see, especially in conjunction with the Superman movie, how all that worked. Talking about hacker makerspaces and digital fab labs. Never really heard anything about that until it was brought up actually in this course, and it was interesting to see. I looked up one from Miami, back where I'm from, and they were. It hasn't been established yet, but they had a website and they were talking about some of the things that they were going to be working on or made available, and just had a rundown of how their organization worked. We got to pick controversial debate topics, which hopefully nobody chose the one that I got. At least when I posted it anyway, it's still good to go. Chose the Bermuda Triangle, just kind of bring a science-y point of view as far as the mysteries involved with all that and how things kind of just start disappearing. Which brings us over to screencasts. I guess I kind of knew about some of these multimedia, applications, but I never really put names or anything to them. So it was interesting to see what a screencast actually was, and to know that I've actually seen them in other classes before. But it was good to put a name to it. Let's see. Well, video game selection. We made groups to put together. Me and some of the guys I go to school with, and another individual. We decided to do the lunar lander. It should be interesting to see how VP works about getting this done. I got the spreadsheet. Learned how to use Excel, something that I barely used. Even in my last job, we had to do certain Excel things, but it was kind of just plug and play at that point. Never had to put any equations or anything into it, but it was interesting to see how it was done, and applying it to the SK 20 and 21 assignments in the 3B module. Brings us over to SK 2021. Just we'll actually click on this and get in here and see what all actually went down. Let's see if I can open it. Oh, yep, there we go. Did the elevator one. This has been an interesting set of lessons anyway. Trying to actually put applications to our algebra, and it's actually made things a little easier. I just hope I've actually been plugging in the right numbers to the right slots. That's been my biggest fear so far. It's like, hey, the math works, but is it only working in your universe, or is it going to work in everybody else's universe, kind of deal. But it was interesting, topic, and we finally got the motion diagrams to work, and that was a weird thing to kind of teach yourself, I suppose. Scoured the internet up and down trying to make sense of it, but I guess we're kind of on the right track now. It really, it's trying to make a lot more sense, and I'm glad it is, because this is incredibly frustrating at the beginning. So let's go ahead and step back here. VP6, man, VPython has been probably one of the coolest things I've had to work with so far as putting in code and making things move around and do things and what have you. I click on it and show you the example, but I don't want my computer to explode. It's for some reason Windows and VPython don't seem to get along too well, at least not with the current version that I have. But let's move on over to Module 3B. Once again, we did some good discussions as far as the charter school, homeschooling discussions. Is really interesting to see, what personal takes on some of the other classmates have, especially some of them have been homeschooled, others are private school, a good number of us have been public school taught, and just seeing everybody's different perspective in anything, I think that's a good way to get an understanding. Hearing it from somebody else and what they went through, it's probably easier to relate as far as just reading these articles online and going about that way. Teach it and test. Oh, the Traxaline. I swear that when I grow up, I'm going to become an inventor, and I'm actually going to invent something, and I will call it Traxaline, because something will have that name, so that these videos are now irrelevant. But it was cool. It was funny to watch the video. Actually, if you kept searching YouTube for more videos on the On the transmission they were talking about, you'll actually get an updated one with a guy much older than he was in the original. But they actually, they keep the bit going with a technician coming in and explaining some of the different components of the crazy names down there. But yeah, it brings a good point, where people just memorize things and parrot off information, and you can really relate to that as far as in a lot of the courses that I've been going through, attending school these past couple of years. But moving on, video games and learning. Yeah, I submitted my article on UAVs and how flight simulators can kind of teach you how to, fly these things, and all the real world applications that these have. And people brought up some other interesting articles as well that, just kind of give you insight as far as how learning is evolving as far as technology goes, and, just moving forward in that sense. Moving on to the Excel spreadsheet, we actually got a chance, we open this here, you got a chance to actually apply what we learned in the 3A module, and open up Excel here and show you. Yep, here's this should be SK20 on this one, showing you how the different columns and stuff worked out. And it was, my math on paper was just a little bit shy of what the Excel brought out, but dealing with the paper, we had to use a lot of rounding just because we didn't want to deal with all these repeating numbers and making everything look a lot more complicated than it really was. But for the most part, the numbers kind of lined up. Maybe like a tenth off or so. So it's good to know that at least I was kind of on the right track. As long as the equations worked out. But like I said earlier, my biggest fear is that I'm plugging everything into the wrong place. And here's 21, showing you the constant rate, and then when the acceleration happens and how all the numbers change. So once again, this one came in real close. I put in the some more approximations here at the bottom, see if I can get the numbers as close to zero for the velocity as I could. But looks like it worked out. We're in the ballpark, so I guess we're okay. And let's head back over here. I'm just almost done. And did the SK2223 once again. Just putting the math down and hoping that everything works out the way it's supposed to. And finally, the Villain Analysis Acceleration for Your World. Actually, the tracker thing, something I never heard about until taking this course. This is pretty cool, seeing how the world can be, I don't know, I guess analyzed with this program. And this one I just put the Jeep once again, like I did the constant motion one. But just hit the gas halfway through the video and see how it reacted. And sure enough, there was an exponential function showing there. So the acceleration really, it works. So I mean, that pretty much covers everything that we talked about. So far so good. It's been a lot of work and just trying to keep up with everything. But I had my doubts at the beginning, especially with the crazy syllabus that we had. But I feel like I'm learning a lot, and I think for the most part this is going to work out just fine. But it's been fun. We'll see how week 4 goes.